Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to What You Want and thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the Carl F. Bucherer Patravi EvoTec's DayDate. You can see this peripheral rotor automatic Patravi EvoTec on our website, whatyouwant.com. Purchase it there, and if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, What You Want Inc. You can also click on the card in the upper right hand corner of this video at any time to see our full listing for this watch with accessories, warranty remaining, and of course, full pricing. Now on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, this cushion style case is quite large. This is a genuinely oversized men's formal watch. Not quite a sports watch in spite of its functionality and fully loomed dial. This one has a formal air about it, albeit on a grand scale. Now in terms of outright dimensions, the watch is 44 millimeters across the broad of the case, that is from 9 to 3 o'clock. It is 14.5 millimeters thick, but it does have a nicely sloped bezel, so you could fit this one under most tight sleeves or dress cuffs. And in terms of the lug to lug measurement, it is a generous 54 millimeters. But from an ergonomic standpoint, it's a good match for a smaller wrist. You can see how the short, closely cropped, and heavily curved lugs really do wrap around the curvature of a smaller wrist, so it's not going to overlap the end of your wrist so much as it's just going to follow the contours. Now the strap is an excellent piece because it is conforming, which is to say it closes the gap between the end of the strap and the flank of the case, so there's no daylight showing through. It integrates the total look very nicely, but at the same time it's not constrained. It doesn't have a rigid fixture against the flank of the case that keeps it splayed out. If you want, you can pull this strap straight down around the curve of a smaller wrist like mine, and I find this works quite well from an ergonomic standpoint. The lower limit for comfortable, secure, and stylish wear of this watch is probably about a 14.5 centimeter circumference wrist. Now everything that does touch the skin is superb. The watch has a nice flat case back such that it sits flush to the wrist, and of course these tightly curved short lugs help with the conformity to the flanks of your wrist. It also has a wonderfully distinctive and very comfortable double calfskin contrasting stitched strap. Now this is a very different fold and a very different stitch than I've seen on any other strap in the industry. Realistically, having centerline stitching is quite distinct from the usual flanked stitching that's used, and it has a little bit of a tumble home from the stitching to the absolute flanks of the strap on either side. It has a little bit of a domed profile when viewed from this angle. Now it's matched to a gorgeous twin trigger single deployant clasp. Now it's beautifully finished, brushed on the top with the Carl F. Bucherer marquee. Twin trigger, so it's not friction fit. This one stays closed when you close it, and it is beautifully polished on the interior, so the function as well as the finish is very appealing. It also features an internal strap minder such that there is no need for perforation along the strap itself, and when the strap is buckled, there are no additional loops to wear down prematurely or create the look of clutter on the underside of the strap. But it is the dial that provides the first window into what really makes this watch special, because the Patravi EvoTec DayDate was the first major reference in the Bucherer catalog to use the company's own CFB A1000 movement. And it's unique because you can see, as I turn it through the light, it is in fact a peripheral rotor. You can see the script Carl F. Bucherer written on the flank of the movement, and then you can see just as easily how it rotates. It's a peripheral rotor, much like the Patek Philippe 350 and 350i, or the system used on the Vacheron Constantin Harmony Grand Complication, also used on the Citizen Jet. This particular arrangement has also been seen on the JLC Ibris Mechanica 11. It's a very exotic system, rarely seen in the watch industry. It's extremely hard to make it work, and this variant has quite a few tricks up its sleeve that we'll explore after we unpack some of the features of the dial and the case. Now both are beautifully complex with several finishes, several layers. You can see how the flanks of the case are beautifully polished. The strap is held in by robust screwed-in bars, not spring pins. It's the more expensive and upscale way to make lugs. You can also see the alternately polished and brushed facets of the case flanks, the lug hoods, and of course the bezel, leading into a multi-textured, multi-layered dial. inboard from the hour track, which features fully loomed and applied rhodium-plated indices, you can see that there's a bit of a metallic sunburst on the center. The hour track itself is frosted. It has sort of a satin grain to it, and there's a sunburst at center with an inset small seconds at 6 o'clock, adding yet another plane to the dial. Now everything's beautifully shaped, beautifully textured, and beautifully considered, right down to the individual day and date windows, which are stepped, so there's a small junction between the dial, an intermediate plane, and of course the disc for the day or the date. It's not simply a sheer cut straight down. Very nicely done. Now the case back itself debuts the 2008 story, and possibly the greatest story of the last decade at Karl F. Bucherer. The arrival of Bucherer as a true manufacturer started in 2008 at Baselworld with the debut of the CFB A1000 Peripheral Rotor. The next year we saw the reference that you see here, the Patravi EvoTec DayDate. Now the movement operates at 21,600 vibrations per hour. It does feature a peripheral rotor that rolls on unlubricated, high-efficiency ceramic rotor bearings, and it winds in both directions, so there's no unweighted unidirectional rotor wobble. It does feature one of the most elaborate fine regulation systems I have ever seen. It has almost the look of a V-twin piston setup, pushing or pulling the regulator to slow or speed up the 21,600 vibration per hour balance wheel that you see here. Now it does feature a 55-hour power reserve, and thanks to the peripheral rotor, all of the bridges and plates can be seen quite easily. There's no central rotor to obscure the view. This is an elaborate, imaginative, and incredibly effective implementation of a system that has bewitched even the very best. It should be noted that with the caliber 350, even Patek Philippe couldn't make this system work well in practice. It also features essentially 50 meter or 5 ATM water resistance, so splash, rain, or hand wash only. This was a breakthrough model for Karl F. Bucherer. Using the bones of the THA factory set up by Vianney Halter and F.P. Journe, they created a complete integrated manufacture for the ancient Bucherer brand name. Since 1888, they've been dealing jewels, they've been dealing in custom-made jewelry, watches, they've been a vendor for many brands, but it was only in 2008 and then 2009 with this reference that they truly hit their stride. You can see this Karl F. Bucherer Patravi EvoTec DayDate with the manufacturer CFB A1001 DayDate movement on our website, watchyouwant.com.